And also, I would like to thank my boss, Onesmus Barima Osei, for availing himself today to come and speak to us, and also for being patient with us, even though we delayed a bit. So without much ado, I would quickly introduce our guest speaker today, and we proceed from there. So lawyer Onesmus Barima Osei is a legal and compliance manager for Gensa Energy Ghana Limited, which is a multinational independent power producing company that provides energy solution to mining companies. He holds an LLB degree from KNUST and an LLM oil and gas law from University of Ghana. He is a lecturer at the Zenith University College as a law lecturer in immovable properties and equity and succession. So without much ado, let's welcome lawyer Onesmus Barima for today's session. Lawyer, please, the floor is yours, and I'm very grateful for availing yourself to share knowledge with us, and we can't wait to learn from you. Thank you so much. We are grateful, and welcome to the Global Leaders of Change platform. Please, the floor is yours.
Hello, Ernest. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, lawyer, I can hear you.
All right, so thank you very much for this opportunity to share the little knowledge that I've gathered on my way to becoming, I'm still learning within the corporate environment. And so thank you very much, and welcome Benjamin, Diana, Mariam, Phoebe, and Sandy for this discussion we're about to have. I call it a discussion because I'm in to just share the little experience that I've gathered so that others may also adjust this to suit how they would also prefer to adjust their systems during their engagement in any corporate field. As Ernest Riley said, my name is Onesmus Barima Osei. I currently work as a legal and compliance manager in Gensa Energy, one of the independent power producing companies. So what we basically do is that we provide power solutions for the mine. So instead of the mine joining the grid or ECG providing power for them, we go and build an on-site plant and then we'll power directly for them. And so that's what I engage myself for the last 7 or 8 years in my practice as a lawyer. So today we are just sharing knowledge in how to bridge the corporate gap between the youth and then the expertise. I have divided these discussions into three. The first one is the things that you need to do before you enter the corporate field. And then whilst you are in the corporate field, what are the things that you need to avert your mind to? And then after you leave a certain area, how do you keep the relationship and how do you also maintain the relationship that you've built over the years? And so that's what we are going to concentrate our minds in. The first aspect, which is the things that you need to know before you enter any corporate field, practically, those are the times that your main aim is being a student. You are being taken care of by someone. And so there's not really much you can do, but your main duty is to just take advantage of the environment that you are in. Either you are in school or you are in a training field. You are gathering capacity, you are gathering the skill to be able to project you once you enter the corporate field. But whilst there are a lot of advantages that sometimes we just overlook. Some of the advantages may include how to improve your advocacy, because now in the modern field or in the modern era, once you are confident, once you are able to stand up to the things that you believe in, once you are able to also approach your leaders, you are in a way distancing yourself from the ordinary worker. And so I always say that it's good to be too academic, but beyond the academics, what are the things that you can do to improve your oral, to improve your personal development, to improve your capacity and also to project yourself onto the working environment. But my main concentration will be that after you've left school, how do you position yourself well so that among the thousands and millions of people that enter and try to search for jobs, how do you distinguish yourself from the areas? Now, the first lesson that I learned when I decided to join the corporate field is that no matter where you are, no matter who you are, try to find the best practice area in the field that you are in. If you're a lawyer, I would also recommend that find the Kulendis, find the Kimatis, find the AB and Davis, find the Bench Lenchels. If you are into accounting, try and find the KPMGs, the AYs, wherever you are, try to find the best practice area and try to get there. The reason being that these institutions have been there for quite a number of times and they have been tried and tested. They have marketed themselves well, and they have some kind of cultural orientation that will be able to project you as a young graduate. And so you may be in the music industry, you may be in the law industry, you may be in the accounting industry, you may be in the finance, architecture, land economy, among other things. But try as much as possible that in your search for job, try to get into one of the best fields in your area. And my reason has always been that because they've been tried and tested, they've been there for over years, they have systems and structures put together for every young person who intend to achieve a greater height in your environment. So don't settle for less. That's what I always tell my peers. Do not settle for less. If you intend to have a long-term niche, if you intend to catch a niche for yourself in the area that you intend to practice there for long, try to find the best areas of practice, find the best company. You can always Google search in the areas of law. I want to practice in Accra, I want to practice in Kumasi. Which of these law firms will be able to assist me to get what I want? Even in terms of practice, what do I want to do? Do I want to just be a corporate lawyer or be a litigation lawyer? So once you define and know what you need to do, then aim for the best shot. Don't settle for less. Don't go for bronze when inwardly you know you have the capacity to chase the goals and the diamonds. So that's have been my first advice to all the people that I meet who are yet to take a decision on their academic life. So the next one is that once you enter into any area, now you have a duty to try to understand the orientation, try to understand the company culture. Company orientation, company cultures are the governing laws, how the company work, how they prefer their things to be done. You may be beaming with fire because you are fresh from school. You may want to exert some kind of changes once you enter into an area. But my advice had always been that Rome wasn't built in a day. And also every person have a way that they've done things and it's giving them results. So until you try to understand, you try to learn, you try to learn the work and how people prefer to do their work, you may not survive in an environment. I've been in several companies where people come and in their first board presentations, they've been sacked because they try to change how the company used to do things. And so my advice has always been that once you enter into an area, once you enter into an environment, the first step, try to understand, try to learn, try to imbibe yourself, try to consume yourself into the corporate culture. And once you assume yourself into the corporate culture, then consistently, you may try to make some changes. And an example is that I worked in my early ages as a lawyer with Kulendi at Law. And when you enter Kulendi at Law, they have a culture of working late night. And their mentality has always been that almost all the big men within Ghana, have them as their lawyers. And so it is only after they have closed from work, that's when they come to the law firm to have their engagement. And so once you go there, you have to also now learn to adapt your system. I remember the earliest time that I left as a young lawyer in Kulendi was around 11 p.m. We used to work between 11 to 1 a.m. sometimes when the work was needed. Now, when you come to the current company, which I am now, which I'll talk later, you also have a company culture that it doesn't matter how you do the work, but get it done. You need to ensure that once you are given work, you get it done. So comparing the two, I mean, it is an area that if you intend to attain a corporate culture, you intend to work in an area for a very long time, study the company culture, study the company orientation. And then I'm a young person, I'm a young graduate. I get to one of the top law firms, I get to one of the top companies. I've learned their culture. At a point, you'll be given a brief. When I say a brief, you'll be given a file, you'll be given a work, you'll be given a material, you'll be given something that you are supposed to work on. The next advice is that anything that you are given as a young person, try to own it, try to control it, try to imbibe yourself in it, try to read as many as you can. I remember most of the cases that I used to handle was when you go to court with your senior, and after court, they will hand you the file for you to maybe make a court note. Practically, people would say, okay, I've been given the file, I've made a court note, senior, this is the file. But if you intend to make your senior have some kind of likeness for you, they can do their work. They've been doing it for quite a long time. But the main purpose of probably bringing you in is to make their work easier. And so once you are given a file, your main duty or your main aim is, I've been given a file, I've been given a work, I've been given an opportunity, I've been given a desk. Any work that comes onto my desk, I have to make sure that I own it. I add value to the work that I'm given. Sometimes you need to, over the weekend, study the file, go to the office, try to understand the work that you've been given, try to read, try to ask the questions. It's only when you read that you get to understand the past event that happened before you get there. And for all you know, there will come a time that because you've been able to control the file that you've been given, because you've been able to master a work that was given to you, it gives your senior the opportunity, it gives him the comfort to give you more work, because the work that you do and you do well, it gives me the comfort that, okay, this guy has shown the resilience, has shown the attitude that he intends to learn more. You've entered the law firm, you've learned the orientation. Try to own your brief. Try to understand the work that you are given. Always have it in your mind that you are in your workplace to make life easier for yourself. You are in your workplace to make life easier for your seniors. So if I give you work as a boss and I get to review it and I realize that, oh, this guy has been here for over 6 months and it appears that nothing good has been done, I will be a bit hesitant in giving you more work. The reason is that if you really wanted to learn within the course of the 6 months, you have so many channels available to you by asking questions. Once I give you draft and then you return it on time, I get to review it, send it back to you. The more I review your work, the more I understand how your thinking is. That is when you can improve your work. But if I give you work, your attitude, you don't bring it, you bring the same work that I gave to you, or even worse work than I have given to you. Sometimes we also work with timelines. Your boss, CEO may give you something on this one, I need it by Friday. Then I pass it on to my juniors. I need it by Wednesday or maybe on Thursday morning. If you bring it on Thursday morning and I get to sit down and do it all over again, I wouldn't want to go and then be explaining to my boss that because he gave me the work and I then gave it to you and you were unable to do it, that's how come. Nobody wants to. And in terms, we'll talk about the corporate politics bit as well, in terms of who makes the decision, who is in control of your promotions, who is in, who has some kind of influence in where you get to in your corporate ladder. You wouldn't want to be in the bad books of such person. So my advice to the youth then would be that once you get to your brief, try to make valuable additions, try to edit your works. You may be sometimes having some kind of friction with your senior, but once he reads your work and knows that you've added valuable contributions to it, he will continue to give you. He may not like you, but he will like your work. And so the advice I've always been that in owning your brief, try to improve upon your work. And this is also something that I observed anywhere I go. once you enter into a new environment, in understanding the corporate culture, respect is the best thing that you can get. When I went to Columbia at law, there was a clerk, Gilbert, and Gilbert has worked in that company for about 10, 15 years. And believe you me, I mean, the kind of experience that Gilbert has in terms of how the company does its work, even though you may be earning more than him, but in terms of the work, Gilbert knows more than any lawyer, fresh lawyer in the company. And so if Gilbert is your friend, if you give Gilbert that necessary respect, Gilbert will see you as a colleague and in turn teach you all the things that you need to do. Now, fast forward, when I also came to Gensa Energy, I had a junior colleague. She was Vera. Vera practically taught me everything compliance because I was coming from a more legal background. My idea was just about drafting document, negotiation, review, arbitration. But in terms of how to even send an email, how to get corporate compliance, how to get things done in a way that the board understands. She understands how the board prefers to do their things. She understood how to make comments, even at board meetings when certain questions is asked. Vera understood the board orientation so that she can be able to tell you that next time when you go for certain board meetings, such words, don't use them. This is how you're able to send emails. So even when I had board presentations, I'll make sure that I review every content with my subordinates. Tell her that, how do you think I should present this? Is this okay? Even though I was her boss, I also saw her as a colleague, that she taught me practically everything compliance, how to send emails, how to relate with my CEO, even when certain emails come, how to answer them. And there are certain times that she also preferred that there are certain emails you should ignore, and she will prompt you on which of the emails that you need to answer because it has the likelihood of surfacing in about a year or two. So all this comes up to conclude that in as much as you respect your seniors because you know that they are teaching you, your subordinates who have been there for quite a long time, you can't afford to just sweep them off the ground. No. I also give another example of somebody who came to a company. She was a boss. She came with an idea that people were stealing the company, and so she was more or less like coming to us as a superior. Her first board meeting, the people left her to do her work, and the next day she was off. And so, I mean, in as much as you may have graduated with a first class honors, you may have excelled in your field, once you enter into an area, without respect, without building a relationship with people, it's a relationship that you build with people that they would be able to prompt you that, oh, there are things that has come on your desk that have been sent. There are certain words that you shouldn't use at certain board meetings. There are certain postures that you don't even have to do when you are in a board meeting. And so this is also to stress on the point that in as much as you try to respect your superiors, your subordinates, give them the needed respect, because in respecting them, they also get to open your eye to a lot of things that you may not have averted your mind to. And in corporate law, it is the little things, attention to detail. That is also to say that in adding value to your seniors' work, the prime thing that you need to do is to ensure that you pay attention to details. When you get to a certain level in your corporate work, you get to overlook a lot of things, and your main work, in terms of being administrative, you prefer that somebody who comes to help you will be able to prompt you on the meeting that you have. You'll be able to assist you on the key things that you miss doing your correspondence with your regulators, with your bosses internally, or even with outsiders, with your suppliers. And so your ability to point out to your boss that, oh, I think that if you had added this, or when he gives you work to do, make all your suggestions to him, then leave him to make the decision. Don't say that, oh, this one, I think that once he sent it to me, it's fine now. No. In such instances, when your boss gets to send those letters, send those correspondence, and there is a feedback on certain petty things that if he had averted his mind to, he would have known. And it becomes a problem or a worry, because then he asks himself that, oh, so, but I gave this letter to maybe someone to review, Koku to review, Kwame to review. How come he also didn't see it? So it means that next time giving you work will be needless. Now, I mean, after we've left the areas of paying attention to details, getting the corporate orientation, respecting your seniors, colleagues, and then your junior colleagues. Now, the best thing that you can ever do to yourself whilst in your corporate field is to improve yourself. When I went to my current employment, I only have a degree. I had a degree in law and then a postcode. I didn't have any masters. I didn't have, but I realized that the energy industry keeps on evolving. And until you understand that you need to improve yourself on a daily basis by undertaking certain courses, I bet you will just fade out. It wouldn't be good for the company to keep you once you're a liability. Companies, I mean, and also get this, no company likes you. They only like you because of the inputs that you are given. And see, if you give yourself the opportunity for somebody to outshine you by bringing in a degree, bringing in a master's, bringing in certain certification in an area where you are aware the company is heading to, then I bet you would fade out. And the next day they'll just send you a letter of termination, because in as much as you can resign and get better opportunities, every company would also throw you off the bus if they think they've gotten more value for services than the one you are offering them. And so when I went to Gensa Energy, I mean, I realized the company was getting into the areas of natural gas. They started outsourcing for gas equipment. I said, okay, then I need to equip myself in the area of oil and gas law. So I bought University of Ghana forms LLM oil and gas, and then I did it. The company even didn't know. Before they realized, I sent them a certificate that, oh, now I have a master's in oil and law. So if you need any expertise in the area of oil and gas law, I'm available. I also realized that the company are going into financial modeling, public-private partnership with the government by signing contracts with GMPs, which is a state organization. I ran into a certificate on PPE, public-private partnership, PPP. And then I know that, I mean, insurance, every company, multinational insurance, risk is something that they are also very interested in. So I got a certificate in insurance as well. And so this is to summarize and say that in as much as you may have gotten into a company with the first class honors, the second class upper master, that, I mean, once you enter the company, I would say that it's useless until you study the company orientation, know the direction of the company, and then try to get yourself improved in an area which will be relevant to the company, because the company, no company likes you. They only like you because of the value that you give to them. And it is normal. We as human beings, we as employees, if you are a boss and then you give your person work, every time you get to do it again, you are not going to give the work to him again, or him or her again. So it's normal. This is not to say that some companies are biased. No, I mean, I get it. They are commercial entities. They think commercially. If you give value for them, they will promote you. So that if you also do not give them value for the work, and then you're always a liability, they get to comment on your work, they get to comment on the problems that you bring them, you draw them back. Companies are moving vehicle. So if at any point in time there's this particular thing that is obstructing the company from wheeling how it wants to be, I mean, if you own a car, you know that once there's a problem with your engine, it stops the entire company. They're not going to allow that. They'll take it to Abusukai. They will replace you so that the company get to move, because the company also is a living entity. It has liability, it has bills to pay. So if you are the one blocking their liability, their profitability, I mean, you would also always get to be swept away. And then the last thing that I would also want to talk about is that don't be afraid to move. I mean, once there's an opportunity which you feel that it will broaden your horizon, it will expose you to a bigger, better opportunities, it will build your networks. It's not really always about the money, but it's about the opportunities to improve yourself in an area which you are building a career on. I believe that if you make those assessments and it is something that would improve upon your life, please don't hesitate to move. And so when I was at Kulendi at law, I practiced there for 2 years, and I realized that I needed to be more specific in what the career path that I needed to do. So there was an opportunity with an oil and gas company. I hopped onto it. You may have lost something in moving, but trust me, it's been one of the best decisions that I made as a young adult. And so I will summarize this and say that when there's an opportunity to move, don't hesitate and think twice. After you've made an assessment that yes, it will improve upon financial, yes, your career path, it will expose the narrative in terms of getting you more exposures. Don't be too afraid. The questions have always come up to mean that what if I go and it doesn't work out? What if I move out? And why do you worry too much about the things that will happen in the future? Once you've made the assessments, don't sidestep and jumping into a job with all your two legs. You have to first make a background check, find out people who work there, try to pick up some information. But sometimes too, if you don't speak with the right people, if you speak to lazy people at work, they'll give you so many information which are not true. And that would also cloud your judgment into making the decision. I always may say that once you go to your work, you are a blank sheet that you are now rewriting a new story. Also, until you have that positive attitude that I'm moving into this place, I'm going to make sure that is the only work that I have. Sometimes it's only the problem comes when you think you have a backup. And so let me share, a story with you. When I started work first in Kumasi, and then when an opportunity came, I'd gone for an interview. That comes to my first point, that if you have the top-notch areas in your area of practice, you move there. I started in Kumasi, but I had gone for an interview, waiting for their call. Immediately they called me. The next morning I was in a bus coming to Accra to begin a new life. And so this is to point out to say that once you do your background checks, once you know that it is in an area that will improve your work, it will improve your networks, it will improve your exposure, don't think twice about it. Just hop onto it. And I know that the future awaits us once we are all willing to develop a good and positive attitude, and also ensure that is the only thing, that's the only work that we do. So when I came from Kumasi to Accra, initially my point was just to do first 6 months and then go back to Kumasi. And so sometimes when you give me work, I wasn't really so much into the work because I thought that I had a fallback. If this thing doesn't work, the law firm that I was in Kumasi was always calling me, when are you coming back? When are you coming back? Until one day, one of the seniors called me and said, I'll say, when you came, I saw how you were working, but of late, I realized that you are not so much into the work. I opened up to him that, okay, I had plans on going back to Kumasi after the 6 months. And his point was that even if you have plans on going back after the 6 months, giving your best shot, because you never know who is watching you, you never know the opportunities that you are missing by doing your work in a short way. And so based on that advice, I then decided that, once you have a ball of plate in your desk, make sure you finish it and you finish it well. And since that time, I gave it that this is the only work I have. I'm no longer going to Kumasi. I'm staying here and I want to make it here. And that changed the whole narrative. And so even after the pilgrimage, there was opportunity to stay, which I logged on and then stayed for an extra year, because I realized that until you develop the mental attitude and you make your mind that this is the only thing I have, law is the only job I've learned, law is the only work that I intend to make a life of, it wasn't going to work. And so that mental attitude, that thing that I later acknowledged that this is the only thing I have. This is the only work I have. This is the only plate that I'm eating from. We can then give our all. So to summarize this discussion, I just pray and hope that Benjamin, Diana, Mariam, Phoebe, and Sandy, I've made a bit of suggestions that you can adjust it based on how you prefer to run through the corporate letter. And this is also to thank you all for the opportunity to share the little knowledge that I have and to assure you that, I mean, the corporate world is just like a sea. Everybody can swim according to his strength. And so once you have learned the skill of swimming, the sea is at your feet. You can swim from the Atlantic to America, or you can swim from Ghana to Togo. The ball is in your court. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much.
And I'm open for questions. So.
Thank you so much, lawyer. Thank you so much. That was a powerful presentation and insight that you shared with us. So now we are taking questions, please. So please, you can kindly raise up your hands and then you ask questions.
It can be a discussion if you want to make a contribution, if you want to make want to follow up questions on the things that I discussed, then we can go ahead with it.
Okay, I can see Phoebe. Please, the floor is yours.
Phoebe, you can unmute yourself.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. Thank you very much, Esquire Onesimus. Okay, so thank you for the presentation. I have two questions. The first one is transitioning. How do you, for instance, you transitioned from litigation in the law sector, you transitioned from more litigation to a corporate firm or industry. I'm looking at, for instance, I am an academic, so I do not want to stay in, I believe I do not want to stay in academia forever because it will not give me what I believe I could do. To be honest, I have been teaching for quite some time and I do not find teaching to be too interesting. I like more research, more practical. I like to see that what I'm researching on is turned into something, a product. So I believe that I'm more linked to industry kind of life. But people say they wherever you are, it's like a means to an end.
The fear of the unknown.
The fear of the unknown is, at least I'll say, preventing me to be able to move into the industrial sector. So because of that, I have passed on a lot of job offers where I felt I could do it. People say me job was like, you can't do it. Charlie, your skills are needed. But I go like, nah, because I feel comfortable in where I am. How do you try to break that barrier and then try to, if there's a new opportunity, try to venture it? You don't know what will happen. Like you said, you were still falling back on what you had in Kumasi, and what you were only looking at, oh, just 6 months. If 6 months things don't go, I know I go back, I have my corner, comfortable corner there. How do you break that transition and say, okay, I'm taking this bold step, whatever happens, or die be die?
Phoebe, let me. I mean, Ernest knows the story, and I know that he has even written a bit about it. When I decided to move from Kumasi to Accra, the truth before God and man is that I didn't really know anyone in Accra. The only person I knew was a colleague at the law school who was a friend. And so when I decided to come to Accra, I mean, I'd left my parents' house. I'd come to fetch a friend. So that was how willing initially I was willing to transition from Kumasi, where I had everything for granted, what I had I mean, I had almost virtually everything: free home, free. I mean, in terms of network friends, you go to church and everybody's calling you lawyer. Even when you are in a trustee, people get to pay for you because they want people to know that they are associated with lawyer. And so for me, it's a decision that you need to gather that mental toughness that sometimes in our comfort zone, we presume that we are okay, but the cave where we are free to enter, that's where our treasure lands. And I must say that moving from Accra, from Kumasi to Accra has been one of the turning points, even among my colleagues. And so, because if I look at the level of exposure, the level of things that I've been able to achieve within this short time of my practice, not to say anything, but I also believe that if I had stayed in my comfort zone at that time, I wouldn't have even achieved half of it. And so Phoebe, transitioning is tough, but once you know yourself that I can't be able to do it, I can't be able to achieve it. You shouldn't allow the fears to drag you back, because this is a time to make the mistakes. This is a time to make the decisions. If you don't make it now, you would later in the next 5, 6, 7 years say that, oh, if I'd made this 5, 6 years ago.
Yeah,
I mean, it's inherent. Once the time is ready to move, you just feel it within yourself. And even moving from litigation to corporate life, I mean, my first year at the corporate field, I still felt that I had to go back to litigation because I love being in court. I like that cloud. You finish court, people come gather around you, lawyer, I need your number. But I mean, there's more to life than these things.
okay.
And so once you know yourself, I think Phoebe, what you need to do is to review your CV, very well, and then start looking for things that you know within yourself you can be able to do.
Okay, just a follow-up. So what about value? So you feel people, you realize that people do not, you are actually good, but they don't see the value that you are bringing to you. It's like you work, bend the night candle, try to do things well, put things right, but they still do not see the value. They still do not. I know the value comes maybe good pay, comfortable. I don't know how to put it. My words are good, but yeah, I suppose you understand what I mean. The
Yeah,
perks that come with it, to show the value, or even appreciating the work you do, or overworking you so much. What about that one? And then you realize, let's say there's a scenario, so you're somewhere, and then you get fed up, and you go somewhere, and people are like praising you and seeing what you do. I want to give an example, a typical example about me. So after my master's, I went for a conference, and then I presented my thesis. I had presented it here in Ghana, but I was trying to bring out the essence of it and the need for something to be done out of it. But my supervisor and all the people on my panel, they actually didn't see it. They're like, oh, this will end up going to be on a shelf somewhere. It will be on the shelf. But the first time, and this was my first ever international conference. And then when I presented my work, I actually won the best poster award. And out of 256 people who had presented, I was one of the 8 people who won the award. And then before I realized, people started coming to me like all of a sudden, like, how did you do it? They were all interested in it because they said, this is gold, like this is solid gold. Like if they could get this in their country, because I was working on cholera. And because I think 2014, 2015, there was some severe cholera outbreak in Ghana, and then during the rainy season. And then I thought that it was a good thing, a good project to take up. But just that I didn't know how to take it from the book and the modeling part of it into something that could be used for public health. but I came across people who were interested and even giving me ideas on how this could be used, and especially in the third world countries and everything. So I realized that that was when I started building my network. People all of a sudden saw the importance and saw the value. Until today, I still keep contact with those people, continuing work with them. So I realized that it looks like I'm in a place where my value is not being seen, and I believe I want something more. But how to move has become a problem for me. So please, how do I deal with that as well?
Phoebe, you've gone around and answered your own question. It still comes back to the fear of the unknown. I believe that no matter who you are, I mean, value is very essential. So if you're at a place where you are not valued, the best option is to find another place where you be valued. Because for me, it's not always about the money. It's about the comforts and then the mental health whilst working at a place. But it is also very difficult to determine when you say value. I mean, if you are a young adult, a young graduate working in an environment, you don't expect that immediately you can be valued. It takes a process. So within the first 5 years, that's the initial phase of your professional career. Those are training grounds. And so if somebody walks up to me in his first, second, third year saying that I'm undervalued, I always say that, Masa, you're still in the areas of learning. You're still learning. So take your time and then learn. But after you cross the 4th, 5th, 6th year and you are still not valued, that's when the problem comes in. So it's either during the first 3 years, you didn't take advantage of the things that you ought to have taken advantage of, or you have taken all the advantage, but because of some personal vendetta or personal problems you may have with your direct supervisor or people around, you are not valued. And so, Phoebe, my recommendation or my opinion would be that knowing who you are, knowing your research is intense. I mean, you qualify for an assistant lecturer within those Canadian, US, UK schools where, I mean, you work, you earn, and then you also be happy with the things that you know about yourself. And you even admitted that you've had so many opportunities that for the fear of the unknown, you've passed it on. And so I think you need to review your CV very well, package it very well, and then throw it out. Go for the interview. Sometimes for what is what. Even me, sometimes when I see a job opportunity, I go for the interview, not because I want to move, but I just want to have an experience of how those things are. 90 over 100, I get called back and I tell them that, oh, I wasn't really interested. I just wanted to have a feel of how the interview process will be. And so don't just let opportunities pass because you feel you may be comfortable at a place that you are. You understand?
Thank you very much.
Benjamin.
Yes, sir. Hello, please, can you hear me?
Yes, I
Hello?
can hear you.
Right. Yeah. So I can proceed, right? I can go on.
Yeah, please, you can kindly go ahead.
Sure. All right. I want to thank you for this morning's submissions. It's been amazing. I can actually relate to it on a lot of levels from your angle and from the questions and examples that Phoebe also asked. For me, this section has been something that I can relate to. I think I was even having a conversation with Mr. NX about it this morning before, I think yesterday before the whole session started this morning. And I'm really excited about it.
Thank you.
Regarding to the moving from a place. For me, naturally, as for moving, it's not something which is difficult for me. And people wonder my nature. Like they ask me when I'm at a place and I feel devalued and I feel like what they are doing doesn't match up to what's my growth, and maybe they are just taking it for granted, I quickly resign without you know, when you are trying to resign, you tell some people, hey, I mean, we are in a tough country. Where are you going to get the next job? But you know, within you, when you know what you are made of, and you know where you are going, you have this feel like this thing talks to you within you, your inner being makes you know that when you go somewhere, you definitely get somewhere to be. So for me, when it comes to moving, it's not something which when I'm at a place and I feel I assess everything and I realize that all things are not working right. And I realize that a typical example is something that happened in my firm recently. We were all puzzled about it. And I think I was the only outspoken person. I only talked about it. Meanwhile, people had it in mind. They couldn't say anything. So until I said it, and then they all started supporting me, like, oh, yeah, they didn't understand. We are into stationaries and then candies and everything, and all the toffees, wafer biscuits. So we had the owner, the guy that processes the toffees and everything.
I come for some
Ghana.
toffees
He's in
too for my
India.
kids.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir. So he's in India. He visits every 4 months. So when he came through, we have a small board in the office where they put people's targets, their sales, their collections, their businesses they did, and all that over there. We noticed that he was giving $1. He gave $100 after a meeting, the last meeting before he flew out. Then he gave a gift, an envelope to a girl among the team. So when he gave the envelope to the girl, he told the girl that this is for a good job done. So we're all puzzled that I was like, if we are talking about the person that didn't perform in the team or doesn't do so well, it's this girl. So later we all kept quiet. I mean, it didn't really bother me so much because I knew their dealings weren't so straightforward. They are weird in their dealings. So we just kept quiet. So we're having a normal convo, and I think something came up. Then I touched on it. Then one guy was like, after everything, he was sitting down, and our supervisor came to him and said, I think they were feeling guilty after. The supervisor told him that they actually gave the money to the girl because her self-esteem was down. Her low esteem, what. And that they wanted to, I don't know, encourage her. I don't know what they were trying to do. So I was saying that no, that shouldn't be the way. Because if you do that, you make the others, team members feel like, all this what we're just working for. It's either you reward the right person or you motivate everybody rather than giving it to somebody who doesn't deserve it. So we all brushed it. So I thought I was the only one having the same thought about the whole issue. But going on, I realized that my other team members recently, I realized they were all pouring out their sentiments about the issue, something that happened like 3 weeks ago. And in my mind, I was like, oh, so you guys all knew all these things and you weren't saying anything about it. Quickly, it kind of slowed down the energy. Everybody's energy came down because they were all wondering and all that. So when the guy was about to flew out, travel outside the country, he spoke to me and was like, I was supposed to give you the thing, but I don't want to give it to Rita the next time I come. And I was like, so what was the motive behind everything they did? So this morning session has to do with a lot. It moves in line with how things are going on with me, and I can relate to it. So I'm really excited about it. And I was very happy when you touch about moving. Don't think about what will happen next and all that. For me, I'm really excited about it. And I want to thank you for this opportunity. And also some points Phoebe also raised and everything and all that. I really appreciate it. And thanks a lot for everything.
Welcome, Benjamin. I also share your sentiments. But my opinion about moving sometimes is also that you don't always have to move to nothing. It's always good to do your background checks to ensure that you have a backup, unless the place where you are is extremely bad and is affecting your finances, your health, and your happiness. Aside that, I always believe that sometimes you just have to search well, get a better opportunity.
Okay, sir. Noted, sir. All right. And also the factor is not mainly based on maybe, like you're saying, you look elsewhere, of course, but it's not being mainly based on the monetary. There's a lot of factors in terms of monetary aspect. They feel like you're not, like the way Phoebe touched on value, you are putting in effort. And by now they know your value, like they should add some value to what you're earning, or they should kind of give you more. They know very well. and they are not following the letter they gave you. Probably they told me after this year, this you end this, but it's like they are not going according to. And you could realize that this is not somewhere that you can improve or do well for yourself in terms of a lot. So like you're saying, you do your study very well before you switch up. So of course, if you're somewhere you have a better opportunity, and all that, it's not just moving for, but like you're saying, it's a good move and it's a good advice too. So thank you for that.
Any other contribution before Ernest comes in? All right, Ernest, so you can take over.
Yes, lawyer, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think you are the first person who has actually, work within the time frame that was given. Thank you so much. And I also like your insights and how you were able to make it very relatable and bringing it to something that we live with daily. I'm very, very grateful. I'm very, very grateful. And I also want to say a very big thank you to all the participants who were able to join this morning. And I hope they've learned a lot. So lawyer, I would share with you the feedback from the participants and also the link to the video when I upload it. And I want to say a very big thank you once again. I really appreciate you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity as well. And I always say that the corporate environment is large. I mean, once you go to a place, please learn the corporate culture. Try to make an improvement on yourself and also ensure that you add value to every work that you are given. And don't be afraid to move. There's always a bigger opportunity out there than you can ever imagine, and you are stronger than your fears. As Ernest always says, we are stronger than our fears. Thank you.
Thank you. So guys, thank you so much, and please do have a wonderful morning. Take care.
All right, thank you too. Bye.